Now it's $25 loss. I still owe 25 bucks because I only have 75 to pay 100. Business works exactly the same way, but they call these things differently. So let's just make sure we understand. Here they call it revenue. Revenue. Here in our world we call it bill. Okay. What are these? We call these bills expenses. Okay. And we call the same thing. What are these? P&L. What is the P and what is the L? We call these bills expenses. Profit. Okay. And we call the same thing. What are these? P&L. And this what is the P and what is the L? We call these bills expenses. Profit. And these are called financials. And we call the same thing. What are they all P&L? And this what is the P and what is the L? Money comes in, bills, how much money goes out, and whatever's left over. These are called financials. And we call the same thing. What are they all P&L? A lot of what is the P? A lot of money comes in, bills, how much money goes out, and whatever's left over. These are called financials. And we call the same thing. What are they all P&L? A lot of what is the P? A lot of money comes in, bills, how much money goes out, and whatever's left over. These are and we call the same thing. What are they all P&L? A lot of what is the P? A lot of money comes in, bills, what goes out, what's left over. And we call the same thing. What are they all P&L? A lot of what is the P? A lot of money comes in, bills, what goes out, what's left over. And we call the same thing. What are they all P&L? A lot of what is the P? A lot of money comes in, bills, what goes out, what's left over. And we what the same thing. What are they all P&L? A lot of what is the P? A lot of money comes in, bills, what goes out, what's left over. And we what the same thing. What are they all P&L? A lot of what is the P? A lot of money comes in, bills, what goes out, what's left over. And we what the same thing. What are they all P&L? A lot of what is the P? A lot of money comes in, bills, what goes out, what's left over. And we what the same thing. What are they all P&L? A lot of what is the P? A lot of money comes in, bills, what goes out, what's left over. And we what the same thing. What are they all P&L? A lot of what is the P? A lot of money comes in, bills, what goes out, what's left over. And we what the same thing. What are they all P&L? A lot of what is the P? A lot of money comes in, bills, what goes out, what's left over. And we what the same thing. What are they all P&L? A lot of what is the P? A lot of money comes in, bills, what goes out, what's left over. And we what the same thing. What are they all P&L? A lot of what is the P? A lot of money comes in, bills, what goes out, what's left over. And we what the same thing. What are they all P&L? A lot of what is the P? A lot of money comes in, bills, what goes out, what's left over. And we what the same thing. What are they all P&L? A lot of what is the P? A lot of money comes in, bills, what goes out, what's left over. And we what the same thing. What are they all P&L? A lot of what is the P? A lot of money comes in, bills, what goes out, what's left over. And we what the same thing. They're also called another name. They're called a lot of names actually, but this is the company that owns them. True Blue. They're also called another name. All right. And we could even go one further. This is the company that owns them. We'll do Burger King here. Okay. These are the...
Is it okay?
What? Okay, who are these guys? These guys are in almost every nation that exists. They're in Africa. Okay, they're in Asia. They're, for example, they're in Japan, they're in the Philippines, they're everywhere. Right? They get what kind of revenue, what kind of money that brings them in? Billions of dollars every 3 months. They get what kind of every 3 months. We unfortunately will never do that in our lifetime, much less every 3 months. So how much do they do in a year? So what resources do these guys have? They're making billions of dollars. All right, each one of them, each one of them. So what kind of office? They're everywhere. They're literally. So let's say that I go to Chicago or I go Miami or something. Okay, and I say, okay, where should we put a staffing agency, right? Where should we open an office? You know, all I have to do, put Manpower, Miami, and boom, we show up. Put it, labor ready, boom, another one shows up. I'm like, they're already there, and they're not just one. They might have 5 of them there already. All right, all over the place. Houston, same thing. San Antonio, same thing. I mean, you name it. They're in El Paso. They're in little towns you would never imagine, like in the Odessa, like the oil fields and all that. They're in every industry you can imagine because labor is required everywhere. Get it? Almost, even at McDonald's, they require cooks. They require everything. Walmart needs people. Okay. So guess who gets those contracts? We get certain contracts, but only because they have a good relationship with Martha. You get the sales component, why that's critical, all right? But these guys, they're just, how many people do they hire themselves, the recruiters? Typically, every office they get, minimum has to make $5 million, okay, minimum. And they have only 4 people always staffing them, sometimes only 3. That's what they basically say. And you have to revenue that much, or they kick you out. If you ever want to hear complaints that are very similar to what you guys are experiencing here, you should go to their forums and see ex-employees who will say, oh my God, never go to this one, and you should be with this one, and thank God this guy finally left, on and on, las quejas. All right, we're going to compare ourselves to these by knowing what is it that they make. Got it? What is their revenue? And then we're going to do something very similar. Come on. Somebody get a calculator out. I'm going to need it. And this is coming off today's financials. So this is Manpower. So 5464. All right. So here's the revenue. This is how much money they made in billions. You guys know what a billion is? You guys know what a billion is? You know what $100 is, right? Obviously, and $1,000, that makes more normal sense to us. So if you won the lottery for, I don't know, let's say 50 million, you'd say, wow, right? But what if I tell you if you won a lottery for 100 million? So, wow. And I've seen some lotteries now that hit half, or like they 500 million. Okay? Well, 1,000 million is just 1 billion. 1,000 million is 1 billion. How many thousands do they have? 5,464. 5,464 million in 3 months. This is what they make every 3 months. Multiply that times 4, and so they're over the 20 billion, 25 billion, right? 25,000 million in a year. So now, how much do they actually, let's take a look here. This is expenses. And then, of course, we said we subtract to get the P&L, right? So this is a P&L. And what we want to know is from every dollar that they get, after they pay their bills, how much do they keep? Make sense? From every dollar that they get, how much do they keep to do the things they need to do? So their net income, or let me just get that for you, is 100, this is what they keep. This is in billions, and this is in millions. So how much did they spend? Who has a calculator up?
I put it one back there.
Thank you. So all we do is get 5464 minus 137. And so this is how much they spend. Is that clear? Now, what we want to do is we want to divide this number by this number to tell us how much from every dollar that they keep. So what we're going to do is very simple. Take 137 and divide that by 5464. And we get 0, 0, 2. How much do they keep, right, from every dollar?
2 pennies.
2 pennies. So they revenue a lot, but their expenses are what? The majority of their expenses is what? What do you think is the majority of their expense?
Paying their people.
Paying their people, right? The payroll. And then what's left over is what they have to do what? The lights, everything else that they need to keep the business going. But from every dollar, they're keeping
2 pennies.
2 pennies, which means almost nothing. Am I right? 2 pennies. But that's how critical each 2 pennies are. Every decision you guys make. Now, this might be some number that, I don't know, maybe it's an anomaly. It won't happen again. You say, that's weird. Let's take labor ready real quick. Labor ready. And I said they're called True Blue. There they are. Okay, so they're also, let's see, oh, they're a little different. 660, we'll call it 661. Where do we put them? We'll put it here, 661, 661. And their net income is 21. I could figure out what their expenses are, but let's get to how much do they keep from every dollar. So take 21 and divide it by 661. They get to keep, oh, that's a 3. So okay, so manpower, the one that's in Asia, in Africa, in England, all over the place, right? Ireland, U.S. of course, Mexico, Argentina, Honduras, Nicaragua, they're all over the place. They keep 2 pennies from all their expenses, after all their expenses. Labor Ready, True Blue, they keep 3 pennies. They did a little bit better. Now, with all their resources, guess what kind of technology, what kind of safety they have out there, obviously. They have a lot of exposure, so they need a lot of back-end help. They need a lot of recruiters and all that. They don't have one office. They have thousands of offices. Okay, let's just put it that way. And so the end result is very similar. So where do you think Darby Day's at? If Darby Day's making 4 pennies, boy, we're doing good. We're doing really good. Now, if Darby Day is not as good as that, as you can see in our environment, we're not like that. You walk into any manpower, even Select, I think, there's another agency, Select, Robert Staff, there's another one. There's quite a few. I met the owner of, who's our, PDQ, Stan. Yeah, Stan and I hit it off. Anyway, Stan wants to buy Darby Day. Oh. I said, nah, Stan, I don't think so. He was angry because I beat him at something. But the point is that Darby Day is a business only operates these 2 pennies and these 3 pennies. We're in there. We're right there. We're not any different than these guys because guess what kind of 90% of the people they put to work are in warehouses. Almost 100% of the people they put to work are in warehouses. Almost every single one of the clients that you put people there have their cards ready to go. So just call us and we'll send you the people right away. All right. So we are competing against these guys. What keeps us in the game are cowboy tickets, right? Nice lunches, safety, okay, which we'll talk about in just a second. But the whole point is that there are other intangibles here around you. And you say, why are they doing that? Well, guess what? We're trying to stay right there with them because they don't even notice us. Just like McDonald's doesn't notice, them over there in the corner. They don't know they exist. I know they know their restaurants around here and stuff, but they don't pay any attention to them, right? What's the McRib, right? It's coming up. I saw a bag the other day.
It's back.
They're more interested in what's on the paper bag. Is that not true? They're more interested in what's on the paper bag than they are interested in the competition. Okay, they're looking at, what's the price of beef because they buy ranches of beef, and they do it every week. They say, okay, I need 20,000 cattle to give me so much beef so we can do our hamburgers. So they don't worry about somebody just buying a few pounds. They're like, yeah, whatever, dude. So we ourselves, to keep pace, believe it or not, we have to meet their quality. Okay? We have to meet their service level. If we do not meet their service level, it's easy for our clients to just pick up that card. And these 3, well, I didn't even go through a deck, but these 3 are like standard. It's like if you're hungry and you just say, well, what about McDonald's? Nobody's going to complain. Oh, yeah, debate a little bit. I have a Burger King. The whole point is our clients, that's options for them. We're not even, I just talked about PDQ. That's another agency that's around here all over the place. And if you go just a few blocks that way, there's more agencies. And you go down the street, there's more agencies. There's agencies everywhere. So the few agencies that we have to maintain this pace. See, we are not at that pace. We actually we keep less than that. So you have to be very astute in terms of the back office because accounting has a lot to do with this. Rules and laws and all that kind of stuff. Can we afford penalties, fines? Hey, you forgot to sign the cyanide. Hey, you forgot to put the bill in the job order. Hey, you say, yeah, but I'm like, understand the game, understand the industry, understand the value of your decision making. It could affect us and our clients' decision making process. So we need to be on top of our game in order to make sure this is done efficiently. We need to meet their excellence so that the clients can say, hey, if we get the same thing from Darby, let's go with Darby. Because over at Manpower, they might have 100 clients, okay? And they'll put them on a list. Well, you guys, you only need 10. That company needs 40, right? So we'll send most of that's why they come to us and say, hey, we need 10. And to us, 10 is a lot, right? So we'll say, yeah, we'll prioritize you. That's why they typically come with us, because we give them better service. But let's prove it that we do give them better service by making sure that they get the people that they want, the good people that they want, but we don't determine that they do. Final word on that. Any questions about any of this gibberish nonsense? This is how it's measured. So if I want to know if a company is healthy, what if a company all of a sudden is making 10 cents? That's revolutionary. See, they're saying, wow, you're doing something that nobody else is doing, obviously, to be doubling, tripling, quadrupling the money that all of us, all normal people do, right? What are you doing? Because this is how they maintain this. This is how you look at it from a financial perspective. Because if we're all in the same place, right in that area, 3 pennies, 1 penny to 3 pennies, we're all doing the same thing, right? What happens is we're seasonal. Because if you measure us during USA Bouquet, we would almost be double this, But how long does USA bouquet last? Do you guys know?
A couple of months.
Yeah. How long?
A month. A month. 2 times a year.
2 times a year. If you get us at that point to show you these numbers, you would think we're like revolutionary.
Yeah.
Okay, but are we? No. Because it just so happened we had a few clients that at a certain time they peak. But now get us in a slow month. Oh man, they said, how do you guys stay in business? Okay, you're not even making a penny. You're like parts of a penny. So well, we're waiting for those 2 times a month, 2 times a year to come on board. All right. So, any questions about any of this nonsense? All right. I call it nonsense only because we don't really deal with this when we're putting good people to work. But I need you to understand the impact that you have if you don't do this right. All right? If you don't provide at least the service level, and I would know, and this is how I measure it, by our P&L. I'll look at it and say, oh, we're not meeting standards here. Right? And if this number goes too low, we're saying there's something wrong somewhere. I need to take a look at it because minimum, I want to be in there. I want to be competitive. This tells me we have the right computers, we have the right system, we have the right people if we have that number matching. We don't have that number matching. Either we're doing something really great, or it's the right time, or something's off somewhere, and that needs a closer look. Okay? This is how this part of the game is played. All right, OSHA. I'm going to address OSHA from a very funny perspective, and that would be me. All right. Why am I dressed this way? Anybody know? Does it say any clothes that fit? Maybe. My wife didn't clean anything for me, so. No. I just said it. Does anybody know what OSHA, oh, you know what OSHA means. What is OSHA?
Occupational Safety and Health Administration.
And we'll get into admin in a second. But OSHA, okay. What does OSHA do? Department of Labor is a cop for labor law. EEOC, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, is putting good people to work. They're the cops. These guys are cops too. For what?
Safety.
What does that mean, safety?
Rules.
What's the opposite of safety?
Endangerment.
Injuries, right? Safety, endangering, right. So they are trying to do what?
Keep us safe. Keep the workers safe.
Well, I'm a worker, we're all workers, so they're trying to keep us safe, right? Now, why am I dressed this way? And why are you dressed that way?
Because we felt like it.
Huh?
Because we felt like it.
Dress code is something that is typically talked about in a way that has to do with class. You guys know that? You have class if you wear a tie. Okay? You wear heels. You have, your hair nice. I like that shirt. This is how typically the dress code is addressed. It's a classist system, right? Look, you're wearing Versace. Would you admire some Versace huaraches at work? Wow, nice huaraches. No. Okay. This is so critical. You guys, managers of people, have to be the first respondents to injuries. Okay, we have somebody there now that can do it, but if he happens to be in Grand Prairie when the injury happens in New Waverly, who's going to go down there? Right? Miguel or you will be down there. And the idea is this, even here, right? You guys will go pick them up and do all this stuff. The thing is that is there a warehouse that isn't guided by OSHA? What do you think? Any warehouses that are not, where OSHA, it doesn't matter what OSHA says.
Illegal ones.
Well, the point that they're illegal means that they are regulated by OSHA, and they're just not complying. That's why they're illegal. So the whole point is very simple. Any environment that you're in has a potential to injure you. OSHA puts together guidelines to do what? The rules. If you are in metal, you wear this. If you have packaging that could fall on your feet, you wear these kind of shoes. If you have, things that could fall on your head, you wear this. If you're in traffic where somebody could hit you, wear a vest. If you're going to be picking up lumber, wear gloves. If you're, on and on and on. You cannot wear shorts there because that has a high degree of what? Injuries. You cannot wear heels if you're going to, be climbing over there and this and that, because there's a injury risk. Once again, funny looking, why am I dressed this way? Is there a warehouse I couldn't walk into right now?
No.
At least approach. In my truck, I usually carry a vest, a helmet, gloves, glasses, earbuds. Those are the minimum stuff. Do you?
No.
All right. Why? Why would I dress this way?
So if something was to happen, you can go out there. And
I am being a responsible manager. I will be out there.
You're ready to
What if you, Martha likes to go out there and, dress nice and all that kind of stuff. But, man, tell her, if she says, can I have a tour of your warehouse? She'll promptly say, give me 5 minutes. Right? Runs, grabs her bag, and when she comes out, she looks like a worker. In, nice makeup, but still a worker. Okay? The whole point is, why would she do that? She's a bully. Do you know that? And she's walking around the warehouse. She's like, wait, why are you doing that? They don't know who she is. But is it typical for a lady to go around screaming at people, why are you lifting a box that way? Where's your gloves? Where's your blah, blah, blah? And they're not even her workers. It's absolutely true. All right. Before all of this, my dear sister, she was a forklift driver trainer. Huge corporations in California would hire her to go do what?
Train.
Teach them how to drive forklifts, right? And then on the side, she would teach first aid and CPR through OSHA compliance, because every certain amount of employees, like how many of you have CPR, first aid CPR certification? None of you?
Mine
is expired. Okay.
It's expired.
Because what's the rule on how many employees and how many per employee, the ratio, how many managers have to be certified by how many employees?
Yeah.
So if I have 10 employees here, how many of us have to be certified?
2.
That's an OSHA regulation. Do you guys know that?
Yeah.
So there are some basics here that you guys need to totally understand, all right, and be prepared for. And so, am I the one that's going to tell you how to dress, if you're dressed appropriately or not? No. Who's going to tell you? Wouldn't it be ridiculous if one of your employees got hurt somewhere and they say, go pick them up? Pancho says, go for it, Paloma. Do me a favor. And the warehouse manager wouldn't let you walk in. So you can't walk in there you can't come in shorts. Well, that's not shorts, it's a skirt. You can't come like that. All right? Okay, so was that, like, who's setting the rules? Is it the company or is it OSHA? OSHA, because they're looking after your
safety.
And so remember, back to manpower and labor ready and all that, the quality of service you guys provide is demonstrated by small little details. All right? And some of that is what? Understanding that some of your workers are in environments. Can you get to every worker that is now working in this area? All of a sudden, all of them fall. Boom. Some of them are in freezers, right? Some are in warehouses, some are over the trains, some are all over the place. But can you get to them? By complying with OSHA. Do you have all that safety equipment? And I can't get all of them. You go. But do you have it now with you? And if you're a recruiter, this is what is part of your toolbox. You need to not only have that, you do make sure that they have all those glasses and that kind of stuff in there in a bag, and then checking it out once in a while. But you also need to know the rules. So if it's a freezer environment, what kind of shoes do you need to wear there versus what kind of what is Office Depot? Does Office Depot have any special equipment they wear over there? The vests?
The vests.
Shirt? Yeah. You need to profile your companies. You're not in charge of every company, of course. But what you say, hey, I'm in charge of these 3 the majority of the time, profile them. Profile is study them. What is it that OSHA would require these people? All right, so that when you give the orientation to your people, they say, hey, make sure you bring gloves, or if it's universal, bring a hammer, you know, that kind of stuff. You say to yourself, I wonder why. And what if I had to go pick them up? Okay, go down there, the check-in, right, over in Saginaw. You check in, check out. Study their managers. What are they wearing? Am I ready for that? All right, and I see you walk in here all like that, and I say, why are you dressed like that? Because I'm doing my job. What if one of my employees got out there, you know, and I have to go? Yeah, of course, I could wear the polo and all the other stuff, you know, that's corporate-like. But we're in a warehouse environment primarily. And so I need to make sure that you guys understand that when you get out there for safety, you yourselves are demonstrating good OSHA principle with safety rules. He will be telling you a whole lot more about that. If you have any questions, please refer to him. You introduce yourself one more time. Tell him exactly what you did.
Messi Fuentes. My title right now is generalist in the facility that I'm at, but I am getting a lot of the updates on OSHA. But I do walk the facility for OSHA compliance, making sure that all the employees are following all the policies, procedures to make sure that they're.
Now, assuming the worst case scenario that somebody, some knucklehead over there, I don't know, didn't pay attention. We had Dollar, right? That wasn't it. Forgive me for using his name. Dollar, this is an interesting name at that. Derek Dollar, was that his name? Over at Southwest? No, Southwest Trader. He started playing around on a trailer. You know, they used to do Starbucks, right? They used to distribute everything in Starbucks in this area. Anyway, the guy moves around and tries to use the forklift as a kind of a ladder, slips. $150,000 later. Wow, where did that get $150,000? Took about 1.5 years to pay him all that, but we did. Was it our fault? It was really poor judgment on his. Was that part of his job? No, he was just curious, supposedly, right? Some other people say he was just fooling around. But when he came down, he twisted that ankle in such a way that he'll never walk normally again, and therefore he cannot put weight on it and do different things with it. And so he needed another education. He needed to be paid. He needed also, you know, even a court and all this stuff. And just to defend ourselves, at the end of the day, it cost $150,000, a little bit more than that. But that's what it's all about. And so we cannot prevent everything, but we can sure try, you know, to say at least be safe out there. We do not say let's be safe so we don't pay $150,000. I'm using that as a make sure that you remember what I just said. You do that for their safety. At the end of the day, is it worth $725? Your back is worth $725? That hour? No. Be safe. Do what they want you to do, but do it in a safe way, please. Right? Make sure that in your orientation, safety is stressed. All right? We do not mention the negativity of safety. We mention the positives of safety. And what is a positive of safety? I, as a young kid, I spent most of my childhood in hospitals. Operations, broken finger. I mean, I still have a few. Will forever be deformed, and I can't do various things because it doesn't work anymore. The idea is that my mom, oh, no hagas eso, mom. Go out there, right? Your kids, football, right? I mean, boy, they don't feel it right now. They're like, no big deal, right? boy, there's a reason I'm leaning here. If I'd stand, I'd probably fall. The idea is that almost my whole body is just disjointed at this point, and it hurts. It really hurts. So if I had listened, but at least now I can remember my mom screaming at me, you know, and me saying, yeah, no big deal. But these guys are adults now. And any little thing that happens to them, if I didn't mention it, at least I mentioned it. You know, just be out there and make sure you do the safe thing. Watch this video. Have any questions, you know, please refer them to Renee. You yourself show good compliance by doing what? What should you show good compliance by doing what? Dress code. If you work in an office, Paloma, primarily, and you never leave the office, What does OSHA say about you? How should you dress? What does OSHA say about Paloma in an office environment? Is there any safety guidelines that she has to follow in terms of dress code? No. Paper cuts are usually the number one, or carpal tunnel, typing too much in a certain way. But even that is fixed now through the way they shape the keyboards. But back in the day when it all started, there was a huge syndrome of secretaries that were typing a certain way. They were just, even now I sometimes see an old movie where they're like doing that because they know, back then it was a huge thing. Now not so much. But anyway, administrative people, they are almost free. You can dress the way you want. And now in today's culture where there's a lot of office work being done at home, you can work in pajamas basically, right? But at the office, then company policy takes over. And company policy literally means, what is it the company thinks you should dress like? As long as it doesn't mess with OSHA, you need to comply. So what is our company policy on dress code? What do you guys think? Has anyone talked to you about that? No?
Dress code?
Dress code. Has anyone talked to you about that?
We have our Darby Day shirts that we wear.
Yeah, but what's the dress code? What is the dress code?
Business casual.
Business casual. What does that mean? Business casual?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us.
Closed-toed shoes.
That looks casual. That looks businessy.
Day Saturday.
How am I dressed? What's the whole point of the suspenders and the dickies and the rough shirt here even on a hot day
You're
now?
Casual.
What do you think?
Your hat.
Ready to go.
Warehouse.
To warehouse, yeah.
Warehouse, industrial, light industrial. All right, and if you're going to be in that environment, how should you be prepared to dress like? So she just mentioned two words which are really cool: business, casual. Business casual. Okay, what does that mean?
Presentable, nice.
I mean, to me, business is profit or loss, P&L. So how are you profiting? How is the company profiting from your look? What is the image? If you get two boxes and one of them is all battered, all broken, and the other one's all wrapped nicely, but you don't know what they are, which one will you go for? Just naturally.
Impression.
Yeah, it's psychological. It's associative. You guys, anybody have studied NLP out of curiosity? NLP, neuro linguistic programming.
No.
So if I say elephant, okay, everybody knows what that is, right? What if I say flying elephant? What immediately came to your mind? Flying elephant with a monkey on top. Say, wait a minute. I remember the cartoon, I think, or the movie, or what was that? Okay, flying elephant with his ears, with a monkey on top, and he has little pink spots on him. No. He's flying over a jungle, then gets to the building, goes through the wall, all right, and flies up. But then the wall is made of metal and then falls down the elevator shaft. The elevator falls down on him. Now he's a pancake with a big nose. All right, what did I just walk you through? NLP. I made you think of things that you would have never thought of on your own. But if I say, you are the most wonderful person that I've ever met, I'm so glad you're here. All right? What associative properties went through that? See, she wasn't thinking that right now. She was thinking, oh, elephant, pancake, that kind of stuff. All of a sudden I'm mentioning, wow, this is wonderful. So wonderful to be here, right? So wonderful for all of you to be here. What I just did is I made you, associate yourselves with something else. I didn't talk about the something else. That's all up to you, to what you think is wonderful. But I'm also so glad you all follow safety rules. You know all your EEOC. You know the industry. I mean, you guys are experts. What did I just do? NLP. I associated certain words with you, but then you associated those words with your own experiences. And I didn't have to talk about those experiences. I made you think about those experiences. And this is a whole science right now in business. Okay, it's showing, this is not part of the orientation process. When you talk to people, be very careful what words you use. So don't steal, don't be a crook. Please don't, don't say that you were sick when you're not. And dude, please don't be late. I know you're always late, but don't be late.
No, you're always late.
What words did you just associate with that guy? Or gal, right? See what I'm saying? So what words you use are critical. I had a handout. Do we still have that sheet? I know I have it, but I'll email it to you. And then my next little break here, we'll come back and print them out. All right. Anyway, the bottom line is these words are critical because I want you to use them as much as you can. In there are some very powerful words, and then there are some not very powerful. Stay away from those words. The only reason I'm showing you those words is that if you're using them right now, you say, oh, okay, I'll stop. I'll stop, right? And so these are the words that I also want you to write in your modules when you describe an employee's end of assignment. Which brings me to the next point. Do we ever terminate an employee? What is the difference between an assignment and termination? Assignment, what is that?
Assignment es cuando se acabó el trabajo y terminación es cuando por alguna razón la empresa ya no quiere ese empleado ahí.
Right. Any questions on that? So if I terminate Reina, what did I just do? You should ask, is that the assignment or the job? Or work altogether? Right. So termination, it depends on, like if a client says, I don't need the 10 employees anymore. What you go back into your job order and do what? End the assignment by making sure that instead of CON it says well now what? F-I-N, fin. Interesting. But fin, they should have put N. But anyway, bottom line is F-I-N. So we have a Latino. So fin, we want to make sure that you click on that, and then a little window pops up, tells you why do you want to fin. What date do you want to fin on, right? That kind of stuff. And so you put it, and then use some of the words that I put in there. Why? Usually the reason is end of by client. Complete. Work ended. Client request. Okay. Reassign, please. Simple as that. All right. If not, then start using some of the words. Why? I mean, he was caught stealing. Recommend not to reassign unless it's mooring where they want him to pick up rocks. That kind of stuff. We typically almost never end or terminate anyone because they are always reassignable. So if Office Depot doesn't want them anymore, maybe RSI wants them, right? If RSI doesn't want them, maybe NJB wants them. I don't know. I mean, it depends on what's happening. And I've had people, whatever happened to that guy? Yaquez.
Oh, he left from Mexico.
You guys, he was a dream employee. You would literally assign him, right? So he'd go work at a company, and at the end of his shift, he would call you. He says, my shift ended. Where do I go next? And he'd say, I have, but you haven't slept. Oh, don't worry about it.
I have one.
Go, yeah. He goes, I'll be back do they need me tomorrow? I'll be here again tomorrow. And if not, think of me in case, anything else comes up. He was working almost 24/7. The guy I don't know when he slept. He was the most reliable employee, a hardworking guy, and then he'd just be gone. He'd disappear. I later on discovered he had a store in Mexico. He was legal here, but he'd come over here, work a couple of months, restock his store, and then go back and do his store thing. And then when he ran out of product, he'd come back over here, work again. And yeah, he was selling food or something. I don't know what he was selling. But that's what his strategy was. What was his first name? I know it's Jaquez or Jaquez.
It was Luis and Israel.
Oh, both of them. Luis and Israel Jaquez. Anyway, okay, take another 5-minute break. When you come back, I have a few closing things we have to go over. Make sure. All right, so it's 10:10 right now. If you guys can be back at 10:30, that would be perfect. So bathroom break, water break, coffee break, or nap break. Oh, I forgot to say cell phone break.
Are you going to need this at all?
Maybe.
No, the only reason is just so I can set it up correctly.
Where did you just started with us this week?
Really? Well, I called her and all that, and I said, hey, part-time maybe for something that really was part-time, because paying child support was 16. And so I said, I just need a little something for like help me. Yeah, I have 17.
Almost.
But yeah, I asked her, if you could find, I didn't know where I was going to go with it. I know she was sending me somewhere, a client that maybe you can answer. I'm flying out of town Monday, and I told her, I said, oh, I want to come start on Thursday. I don't know. Yeah, so I said, I'm flying out of town Monday, and I'm not sure what time I'll get back. She goes, don't worry, and I'm able to make it Thursday. So yeah, I'm flying out Monday, but I am looking for something maybe, who knows, that where it can be permanent. I'm going to go here. This will be my primary.
Then, how long have you been at My Windows?
I started a year and a half, I completed a year back in May.
Do you know Jorge Lopez?
Yeah.
He's a runner.
Really?
When Martha was saying he works at a window company in Florida, I was like, have you ever had it in my window?
Yeah.
I just wanted something that suits my throat. I was hoping it would knock me out, but
Yeah.
I didn't drink both.
I'm sorry. Must have been this year, early this year.
See?
Well, that's actually a little bit
Well, it was a lot for me to try and think of it, especially with supervisors and trying to remember their name, it's difficult.
I always wanted to go.
Sí, porque me acuerdo de when he was working as a supervisor. He's like, hey, go out there, they don't have a lot of help. So we try to reach out to George, and had a conversation, pero
well, the thing
he
is,
was looking for a staff nation in Louisville or in
They what?
Yeah, and I think so I didn't know some of the stuff he was I'm familiar with PDQ. And so I found out they have the offices, but I don't know before. Yeah. The thing is, with me, I've been called T. You can tell. But it comes down to the employees. So just trying to balance the line between keeping them happy and be productive. I don't, unfortunately, I don't remember his name.
it's funny.
Because every morning they have a production meeting.
But
And so,
I can't remember the rest of it.
both of us were saying, supervisor and myself.
Wow, the phone, like the phone YouTube is like way.
Dice,
Estaba la...
Was that you?
Yeah. Penny changed my name there.
Oh, that was so funny because I
Yeah,
finally figured out.
Candy
I was like,
H.
who else could it be? I was like, wait, where's Patty?
Yeah, everybody was this.
That actually works really well.
Did you have Paula checking in?
No, I wanted to.
No, she called me. Also, you didn't come last night?
No, she recommends it later. we just moved. We moved from one apartment, we moved from a 2-bedroom to a 1-bedroom. And
I thought the camera was
trying to fit everything. Yeah, very challenging. Pero no, es good. Anoche también. I was moving stuff around because, I mean, when we moved in, it just
Oh, you're gonna get some more?
boxes. But yeah, moved in to
Oh, okay.
And I've
Like,
actually,
I want to
start moving,
extend it.
putting stuff in place.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
extend
know.
it.
Sí, porque fui a preguntar, pero
Oh, soy fan.
said she would like to do it.
Oh, oh, for sure. I could go on.
Especially on the translate. So what I want to do and actually the translate is relaxing.
5 minutos.
And then
5 minutes?
go to sleep. Like, oh my gosh.
Amiga, ¿qué va? ¿Qué fue? ¿No vas a comer en eso?
My throat hurts so bad.
You don't have allergies?
They want to go to celebration. No,
It's pizza. I've been sleeping.
yeah, that's where I want to go.
Ay, mira, ya no le ponen letrero. It's alright. I think it's fun.
Darby no tiene budget para que pongan.
No. They're like, nah, they don't even pay.
This is not Darby Day. It's factor.
Pero para pagar, no sé, para pagar extra.
Sí, porque necesitamos que estar ahí.
Tirar para más dinero.
Está afectando mi vida.
Okay, we can all go. Oh my God.
He tells me, are you guys working today?
Yeah, I could have been if I missed. They kept waking up on my ear. I was like,
No, yo aquí.
I want to sleep at 5.
I want to sleep at 8.
I was like 3.
You know, like our here,
I keep missing the first name. Renee.
just across the street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. Especially with the weather really cold, but
You have any food? Just gonna be great.
Nosotros no tenemos.
So you work across the street?
I used to. I worked there for about 9 years, almost 10 years.
George.
Yeah, I was really kind of shocked because I guess y'all pack all kinds of stuff.
Right?
Yep.
Days
Our
off.
their main customer is Frito-Lay.
Facebook.
No, but but they're not a subsidiary of Frito-Lay. They're independent.
Yeah, they're called, Frito-Lay has co-packers and repackers. Co-packers, part of it. A repacker is just somebody that they just send all the
Saluda,
chocolates,
papi.
bag them.
No, está, la puso en
A
negro.
tray
¿no?
or a bag, or multi, a variety, if you want, a variety tray or a variety sack.
I wonder why.
Dile a Angie, no que te ofrece algo de eso.
No checks today, Angie.
No saliste.
No salí, ¿a que puedo montar la cámara que me
Ah,
va?
sí, 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 sí.
La Angie, mira.
No checks today. Richard. ¿Qué tal, Richard?
Angie. No, ahora ya no
Lo que
se
puso el Jordi. Allá no le contaron de eso.
Oh, yeah.
Te llamaron.
¿Eh?
Te llamaron, dijo.
Uy, la Angie, mira.
Ah, qué feo.
La paté, no checks today.
Miro.
No, mira.
Pues oye, Raúl atrás y la Angie.
Ay, pero la Angie ya está pidiendo gabinete.
A ver, déjame darle una panorámica de todos. A ver, Richard.
Quítale esa.
Where do you
Quítale
at?
A
esa
ver,
imagen
¿cómo
porque
le voy
mira,
a,
se me
cómo
acaba
le
de-
voy a?
¿Qué quieres ver?
Quiero mover la cámara así. ¿Puedo? Así, así. No nos peinamos.
I made a comment on the
A ver,
live stream.
dime para dónde le doy, pues yo no tengo.
Bueno,
nomás tengo que hacer la Marisa porque así se peinó. A ver, aquí.
No, a mí no, Clarita.
Digan hi, everyone.
Hola,
Para
chicos.
que los conozcan como somos.
Hola, chicos.
Hola, cuando me diga, me voy a poner.
Sangrones.
Oh, really, really?
Loud.
Una piedrada.
Ahí
¿En serio?
está.
¿Y qué vamos a hacer en otro de Ecuador? Vamos a buscar una receta de lo de...
piden mucho ya.
Rosita.
Always eating.
Oye, hasta ahorita me está pidiendo todavía.
¿Qué te dice? ¿Qué te dice?
Sacaron aquellos gabinetes y me está poniendo. Raúl, de esos que ustedes tienen, nosotros necesitamos acá.
Ya no enseñes
para
porque
guardar.
van a
Ya, no, porque ya
Ya
no.
del baño. Él les manda un There's a lot.
Palomita. Mira, ahí va. Comiendo la palomita.
Live stream.
Darby Day Live.
Dice Angie, Raúl, te escuché.
Le puse Angie, hoy no atiendo pedidos. Ja, ja, ja. ¿Me escuchó?
Dice, piden mucho.
Sí, amiga, hay que ahorrar.
Hoy la live stream.
Oh, tiene como unos 3, 4 segundos. Es que horror. Un tiempo.
Other offices? The Florida? Miami?
Oh, en
San Antonio, right? Is in Houston? He's logged in?
Well, Houston's here.
Oh, no, well, Miguel's not logged on?
Over the phone.
Yeah, he's logged on too.
Es que te vi.
Who else? Laura's not there. Laura's
Esa cosa.
Knee scooter.
¿Cómo?
Your knee scooter.
Mira, su baby.
Su bicicleta pequeña.
Bro, you can get on and comment.
Nice to have you here.
You can get on and comment.
And last night.
Oh, actually, this morning.
Did you drive or fly?
Si quisieras que fuera sentado.
How was it
Yo
driving?
la vi.
No, pues sí, como vine, salí de allá.
Pero ella
Así lo
¿Es en la 9 de la mañana?
Para
Oh my God, girl.
decir algo.
¿Dónde te fuiste
Para
a ver?
decirlo.
En la 15.
No, ya me escucharon. Que no estoy pidiendo nada.
que vine aquí porque somehow my email no sabía where it was. So I had to call in to see where I was registered. I didn't know exactly which
Oh,
one.
you know what he does?
So I ended up calling the second one and
Yes. So you got your what? 3? Where are you? What did you leave that one?
my sister had her bridal shower.
Oh. Unless you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would do that one.
I would have come because I thought, you know, dije, me voy
It's
por
gonna be
las
for.
saliendo a trabajar y con kids and come.
Yeah.
How many kids do you have? What is it?
Males and.
Oh,
What, three?
what do you have?
Yeah.
3 boys.
3 boys? How old are they?
14,
9 and 7.
Oh,
yeah.
See, he works on Saturdays. So I was gonna call myself, but then he was like, I just wanna take care of the kids Saturday morning.
they're big. Look at 14-year-old.
Well, it's because the little one has autism.
Oh.
So I have to, I can't have to rotate.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, we had
So I completely understand. A cousin, oh,
All right. Thank you for coming back. That was a test to see who would come back.
that went by fast.
It did. Grab a chair. All right. went to,
My safe packet.
In your safe packet.
It's right there in my desk.
so when I was 14, my mom, one day I came home from
Thank you.
fooling around playing basketball. It was late at night. My mom was cooking something, and it's like, pass by, hi, Mom. She goes, ven aquí, desgraciado. I was like, okay. And that was typical of my mom. That was her hello, too. But this time she was crying. And she was crying over, as she was cooking something, and she goes, mijo, I hate to say it, but they found cancer. Okay. And I have less than 2 or 3 months, they told me. Okay. At that time, I was 14. So I was in the 9th grade. It says, desgraciadamente te tengo que enseñar a trabajar. So that very week, I ended up getting my first job, dropping out of 9th grade. So I did not finish high school until I decided on my own to go back to adult school. So I went to adult school and I got my diploma. Now, once there, I said, well, I'm here now, what the hell? And so I got that diploma, and then I ended up going to university, college first. This is interesting. I got I finished my 2 years at a community college, and they give you an AA, Associate of Arts, they call it. And when I got that AA, I didn't have my high school diploma yet, which is kind of weird.
How?
Because I took both at the same time. And at the high school, they require for you to go into a semester system. So to finish all the high school, you had to do almost the 4 years, right? So, but at the community college, you could take as many classes as you wanted. So it's just weird that I said, well, I'm old enough to be in college. All my friends are in college. So I ended up taking high school, adult high school, and community college at the same time. And I almost finished at the same time, but I actually finished my community college first. Right? So I didn't have my high school degree, but I had a college degree. And it was weird. I went to a school to be a teacher's aide, and they wouldn't accept me because they required, through their HR process, a high school diploma. And I go, but I have a college diploma. They said, no. I need to see the high school diploma. Well, I couldn't take that job. So I ended up working at UPS, breaking a hand because I was unloading trucks. Anyway, on to high school, and I'm thinking, what am I gonna major in? You know, I'll ask you. So the first thing that came to my mind, what sounded fancy, nobody ever talked to me. I never went to a counselor. I said, psychology. I said, wow, most people don't know how to spell it. So I said, I'll be psychologist. For 6 years, I ended up studying psychology only, never realizing I still had to take some English classes, mathematics classes, you know, just like a high school thing. So I have thorough knowledge of clinical psychology, but I never, in my mind, once I realized what it was about, I said, I really don't want to do that, you know? And so back to college I went, and they're like, okay, so what do you want to do? And I said, I like Shakespeare. Oh, that's English literature. Okay, 16th century English literature. I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And so that's where I finally got a degree in, which is in an English major with an emphasis in Shakespeare, with a computer information system minor. So I love basketball. This is really what I'm made up of. So I see everything like a game, right? Because that's what I trained myself in. I deeply wanted to do basketball when I was and I thought with an English degree I could go coach anywhere, right? And I could go to Japan and teach English and coach basketball. That was my life plan. I say this because with that diversity behind me, of course I have family, and some of them decided to go into basketball, and so I trained them and they moved on. And eventually, because of their skills and their abilities and all that, they ended up in Ivy League schools when they had chances of going to universities. So they had a choice, where do I go? Because schools wanted them. And so at the end of the day, I had to study which school was best. All right. So I have a sort of thorough, I know the regular high school system, I know the adult school system. I worked for 20 years, as I told you guys when I started here, directing, I don't know, 600 some schools in the HR department. So I'm an administrator from a Los Angeles Unified School District. and I have thorough knowledge of operations from tons. The Toyota production system is really the key component in most operational situations now. It's how they work. You know, they have all these certificate Kaizen and what have you, all sorts of other things they go into. The point is that I studied school, education itself. It's called pedagogy. How do you teach people and how do people learn? For example, I'm an avid addict, or I should just say addict, in literacy. If it's written, I have to read it. What does that say? Other people, okay, are video addicts. If it's a movie, I'm there. If it's a little video, I'm there. I can't help myself. This is boring, right? But they might have 2 books in front of them. They won't even know what they are. They don't pick them up. There's audios. They can sing any song you want. They can hum. They won't. The first thing they do in a car is they don't even know where the key goes. They want to see if there's a radio. All right. And the next thing, how loud does it get? Pretty much, if that works, who cares about the rest, right? And then there's image. People are so interested in the image. This is who I am. It doesn't matter what's behind it. It's what you see that's important. Okay? So this is all, again, the stresses of pedagogy. All of us here represent something. What are we? How do we learn? And so when I give these talks, when you teach, you have to understand that the whole concept here is at the end of the day, you guys know more than I do. Well, how can that be? If I started in just a couple of hours with knowledge that perhaps you didn't have, how can you end up with that knowledge? And then add to that your own hands-on experience, which then would increase your knowledge base to a different level, because you could give me real examples of what you just learned that I had no clue about. And I would say, oh, I didn't know that. See what I'm saying? And so how would I accomplish that is by understanding how you learn. And how I know you're learning is if you're paying attention to me. Because what you're paying attention to is how you learn. That's what you're prioritizing. So if some of you are watching that TV instead of watching me, what is that telling me? That I'm boring? No. It says, oh, they're interested in video. If some of you are like really listening to me, oh, they're audio. Right? If some are just staring at that board, right, and saying, hey, that word is not spelled right. Hey, they're literary. Right? That's how I'm reading it. This is my psychology background. I'm profiling. I'm saying, how? And because it's so diverse, in a real school, they go, I don't know, schools are funny. We think that, wow, I think I tore something. Real schools, what I mean by real schools that are interested in the education of your children, they will profile your kids and then mix them up to make a good team. So the way I would say, if you get a company that says, I need 4 people, and your first 4 candidates are all angry, hey, do you have a job? Yeah. Don't you know? What the hell? But you're not getting anybody else. You only have, would you send those 4 angry people to that client? Now, if you have 12 people that came in, and 4 of them are angry, 4 of them are nice, 4 of them are respectful, 4 of them are thinkers. That's an interesting group. If I send all the happy people, they're going to have a party, right? Happy hour over there. If I send all the thinkers, there's nothing going to happen over there. They'll come up with a great idea, but nothing's going to get done. Now the angry people, they'll do it, and they'll do it fast. But they'll just be challenging everything. All right? So I need to send a little mixture. I need to talk to the client and say, what kind of people do you need? How soon do you need? So that I can organize my team. Well, this is how an educational system should do it with your kids. You don't put all the angry kids together. All right? You don't put all the thinkers together. The teacher will do that, and then they'll call them, you're the alligator group, you're the angry ones, and you guys are over there, you guys are the snakes. They don't do that, actually. They call them circles or squares or blues or reds, if you guys remember your groups, right? Weren't you guys in groups too? This is how the school system works. Well, very good school systems don't do that either, okay? What they do is they look at the professor, and they profile the pedagogy and say, how does he teach? Because not every teacher teaches the same way. Some will rely on movies, if you recall your own experiences. Some of them rely heavily on books. They themselves start reading while they make you read so they can read. And they say, this is fun. Okay, you guys read chapter 2, you know, and they pick up a different book over here that they're reading from somebody else. And on and on. And so what they do is they match the style of the teacher to the type of learning the kid is able to do. That's how you get outstanding performance. Match them wrong. Match them wrong. The kid learns by video, but the teacher does by literacy, and you're going to have a rotten student. You're going to have struggles there because they're talking to him in a way that his eyes are not interested in. If his eyes are not interested in, which are directly connected to your cerebral cortex back there, what's going to happen? No interest. No interest. Where is the majority of our interest nowadays? It's an addiction, by the way. Phones. Phones are our lifeblood now. We don't. Me and my wife will go to dinner, and I'm talking to her, and she's like this. So then I grab her phone and throw it. You know, whatever. She's like, oh, bam, you know, drama for your mama. And I'm like, hey. Went to Pancho's Tacos the other day. There was a huge line. You know, there was like 7, 8 people in front of me, and finally it got to me, and I was about to order, and the phone rang. Excuse me. La 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 la. Okay. Put the order down. Put it in, and then you know he might ring. I'm still waiting there. 2 phone calls, 3 phone calls. You know the order's coming in. I'm still the first one in line, but I'm not getting any attention. So I finally pick up my phone, and I called them. So hey, hold on, you know. And I'm like this. I go, see, kiddo. She looks at me. Oh.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
Right. My whole point is obvious, right?
Wow.
Yeah. You guys value yourselves for who you are, but try to put yourselves in positions where you'll be successful. All right. Try to avoid those positions where you will be naturally judged badly. Get what I'm saying? So if you are not a natural at videos, you're going to be asleep, right? How's that going to look to anybody? So if you really are a people person, then get yourself in front of people. If you're data driven, then get yourself inside in data. If you are into people, know a little bit about psychology. You know, be curious about how people work and how that works, so that when you talk to someone, that enthusiasm in you comes out. Well, back to my story there. I was eventually I was educated. I had experiences and all this, and then I had to decide which schools to send some of my relatives and some of my students that I had actually coached and trained and had gotten to certain levels where they were ready to go. And they had different options. I preferred the Ivy Leagues for some of them, and including my nephew. He actually contradicted me. He had an offer from Harvard and from Yale, and he decided to go to Columbia. Columbia happens to be in New York City. It's an Ivy League school, which is one of the more renowned schools. It's the private best school in New York City. Okay, he chose that one. I didn't want that one. I wanted him to be out there in New Jersey and Princeton somewhere, and he just like, that's not for me. Even I chose that one because they had better basketball. He chose the other one because they had better contacts on Wall Street, which he now is the vice president of something out there, one of those banks. My whole point at the end of the day is that what is more valuable? How do you guys learn? How is Harvard different than my regular, school that I went to out in Los Angeles? What I discovered is what we're about to do right now. Okay, so you guys are going to have an Ivy League education. The idea is that at my university, now I'm an English major, my whole career is built around me knowing the difference between sonnets and whatever, anything else you can think of. Mr. Johnson, Samuel Johnson versus Dr. Johnson. The idea is that I read, and which was up my alley. Then on Fridays they'd give me tests. And then, I don't know, I'd meet people in life, they talk a little, oh, that comes from John Donne, okay. Martin Luther King, oh, okay, gotcha. Anyway, the point is that one day my nephew says, hey, can you recommend a class for me? And he sent me, his choices. And in one class, he had, it was a general education class he had to take. The books that he read in that one class were all the books that I had to read for my whole career. he had to read it for one class. I had to read all that for my whole career to get my degree. So I had 20 classes to do what he had to do in one class. I was like, that's humiliating. So you in one class are gonna
Do everything.
your eyes are gonna touch the same words my eyes touch in 20 classes, right? And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, all right. He goes, but what is? Then I'm not getting it. What do you do in the other 19 classes? Because he needs 20 classes too in your upper division courses to get your degree. And he goes, well, that's where it's at. A lot of it is the professor on Monday gives us problems, and then he tells us to bring back an answer in written format. And then on Friday, he's going to bring the experts in that field to talk to us. All right, they don't know what the problem is. We'll give them the problems, and then they will answer them out loud and compare them to what you wrote. And then you get to ask them questions. Hey, I had this idea. What do you think? And so the situation, the case study is what they're talking about. So here's a case study for you. This is Ivy League now. We had a lady here that came in yesterday or the day before?
Yesterday.
They were terminating her. She happened to mention that she is suicidal. She'll kill herself. All right? If you terminate her. And yet the client doesn't want her anymore. And yet she's here. Renee, what would you do? How do you
Call human resources.
You are human resources.
Yeah.
All of you are
Yeah.
human resources.
I would probably talk to her and try to get her to calm down and reassure her that I'll try to find something for her. Try to see the other side as to find out why she's trying to do that, and then try to hit it with the opposite side. Say, relax, we're going to try to help you, we'll try to find something for you. Give me some time, let me look for it, let me work on that.
Maritza, what would you add to that? She was about to kill herself.
I don't know, to be honest. He kind of said what I would say too.
And she's crying.
Hear
And
her
she's
out.
saying, please don't tell anyone, I have 5 kids, I'll take them away from me. What would you do? This is not invented, this actually happened, it happened yesterday.
You comfort her, you make her feel reassured. At the moment, you really don't know what's gonna happen, but you have to make her feel like you got her.
Right.
Like you understand her,
Okay.
and you're gonna make her feel like it's okay.
Wow. Has that ever happened to you?
No.
You responded beautifully. Seriously. How about you, Paloma? What would you? You were here, right?
I didn't even know about this.
Oh, okay. But what would you do? Would you ever try to kill yourself over something like that?
No.
What do you think would make her say that or actually do something like that?
She has problems. She's crazy.
Right, but why do you think why do you think the recruiter didn't catch it?
Huh?
Why do you think the recruiter did not catch that?
Or probably she's just faking. I don't know.
Would you wager on that? Would you say, you're just faking it, get over it? What if she is? What if it's true?
And what about if she's just using it so she won't get fired?
Okay, now how many people would use that, have used that?
And
the whole time you guys have been here.
10+ years, I've never ran across that situation until yesterday.
Right. How about you, Pancho? What would you do?
What I do? Well,
You handled that?
Have you ever
See,
crossed
so
it?
here's the expert that handled it. So what happened?
Well, I'm not a doctor. I cannot say do this or do that.
I talked to her.
Probably recommend her a hospital to get, because she's not an injured. It's nothing that we can do about helping her.
What do you think?
I think.
Did he do right? Did he do wrong?
I don't think he should have recommended her to a hospital, because then you're making her feel like you're looking at her like she's crazy. Like you're looking at her like that's the only help she's gonna find. That you're not gonna be there for her. You're not gonna help her, and that's the least thing that she needs at that moment.
What do you think?
I will start crying with her. I don't know.
This is an odd one.
We did talk for a while. We
Right.
did talk, so.
What was how did that begin and how did that end?
It ended okay. the client wanted to wash his hands of it, is what he wanted to do.
He said that's your employee.
Yeah, he wanted to wash his hands of it and said, here, take her. She's a safety, she's a safety issue right now for herself and for our team, and he sent her this way. When she got here, you can tell that she had been crying.
How did you handle that part to the end? So what did you do? Sit down?
I walked her out.
What are the details?
I walked her over here privately, talked to her. I wanted her to open up a little bit about the situation or what she was thinking, and just assure her that she's safe, because she's most likely, she did mention to me that this has happened before, and she had her children taken away already. With that being said, I wanted her to feel safe and de-escalate the situation. I didn't want her to think that our procedure was going to be calling somebody to come and talk to her, because she's already been in that situation. So I just assured her that it was a safe place for her, and you know, we did talk about, you know, a little more strength, having a little more faith in God, you know, things that helped me out personally and like my experiences in life. Not that I've, you know, ever thought of killing myself, but there's times in life and situations in life that you go through where stuff gets hard. Stuff gets hard, and things that I do turn to, and it helped her a lot. Just comforted her, assured her that she, you know, she was going to be okay.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Didn't want to just throw her out there. Hey, here's a place you can go to. Go there.
The interesting point of this whole thing is life and death, right? I mean, at the end of the day, because let's change the life and death to a pain. Some pain. And let's talk about back pain. Same thing, same exact situation. Okay, I accept that it's not life and death now, it's just that I can't stand the pain in my back. I can't stand it. Would you tell her get the hell out? Would you tell her go see a doctor? Would you talk about strength and inner strength? Would you tell her, hey, do these sit-ups? What exactly would you do with that kind of person? I'm here now, but I can't go to work anymore. My back hurts. Would you sit them down privately? What would you do? I mean, having used the same messaging that we've used here, what would you do with that back pain now? Oh, un dolor que, I don't know, it's back there. It's just something. Is it life and death now?
No.
Would you handle it the same way?
No.
Why?
Because you don't feel that.
Because the person can't work, the client doesn't want them anymore, and the person is crying for help.
It's not life and death, that's for sure. Yeah.
Because they're not asking for the help. Like she came and she's saying it to your face. She's
Well,
saying,
what if she came and said, "Hey, help me! This pain in the back. I need help."
Then you would refer her. I would refer her to the doctor. Be like,
you should take an ibuprofen. Maybe a heat pad. You know, if not everybody has health care or is comfortable going to a doctor. You know.
How about hunger? I haven't eaten in a while. I can't continue to work. I didn't tell the employer, but I can't go there anymore. But I haven't eaten. I can't wait for you guys. I can't wait for you guys to pay me in a week. These are.
Would refer her to some places that give free food, shelters, pantries, stuff like that.
Now, if all of this went back to court, after let's just start with the first one. The very first one was someone that was life and death, and now she's suing us. All right, she said for me to sit down. She told me this, she told me that, but she did not want to send me to get help. And then her lawyer said, "Are you an expert in that field? Have you helped other suicidal people? How did you know she didn't need help?" How would you answer that one?
Don't put it back.
What was your question?
We're in court now. She's suing us. She's saying my condition has really.
Or whatever recommendation you give her.
Because whatever you assisted it with her.
She insisted not to go to seek any help.
But the question is what certification do you have or experience do you have helping suicidal patients? How did you know what you were doing was the right thing? And now her condition has really worsened, and she will never be able to work, and she wants Darby Day to pay for her salary for the rest of her life. And so, based on your treatment of that situation, they're going to try to dig for evidence that you worsen the situation by not, because they're going to say only an expert can help her.
Yeah.
Are you an expert?
I would have asked them, what would you do if this lady here was begging in your face or telling you that she was going to take her life? What would you have done? I mean, I don't think that they would have asked that same way. You know, that they needed expert help.
I think you're absolutely right in your moral stance. Your moral stance is right. I'm not really sure about your legal stance.
It's not legal.
Because we're in a court of law, right? And
I
we're
did
trying to figure out where's the liability here. She's saying you had an opportunity to help me, but your participation worsened it. Now, under your filtration of it, the way you are seeing the situation, you're saying I helped you because you didn't kill yourself. But she said, "No, I wasn't really going to kill myself, but now I was just asking for help. Couldn't you understand?" Now, all of this, I'm making it up, of course,
Yeah.
in court. All right, is where I'm at. I'm arguing that you guys should pay for the rest of my life my salary because now you've worsened it to the point where I can never feel safe around you again. That's her claim. And the lawyer is now looking at you and saying, "Are you an expert?" He's basically trying to say you had no idea what you were doing because you have no what? Experience and no education in this field. And yet you were there giving advice. Like, don't do it. But she wanted to do it. Isn't she free to do it? Isn't our First Amendment, freedom of speech and freedom of movement and all that kind of stuff? And so, bless you. Wow, do you have an allergy?
No,
Sick.
I'm sick.
Please get the Lysol.
So this is the Ivy League piece, where you yourself project yourself. And in this case, you don't have to project too far. You are in that situation, some of you. But the other ones could be in that situation, very similar situation. Or as I then go to the second one, the back pain. What if you had, instead of saying sit down, hey, when I had that, I did some sit-ups. Try them. He doesn't, no, he can't really do it. And there you are in court again. She told me to what? And now they're going to say, but who is she? Why would you listen to her? Because she could put me to work or take me off work. And I'm scared. If I don't obey her, then I won't be able to feed my family. Which is true. So then, how does that recommendation come across? Again, they'll ask, do you have any experience or education in back pain? And now, did you know that you have the authority to put her or not to put her to work? And now you put fear in her. She obeyed you, even though she knew that would not hurt her or to not help her. And now she's what? Permanently damaged. Are we liable or not liable again? And this is all court now. This is just legal kind of logical thinking. And then the last one with I just have a pain, and you say, hey, take some oregano and all that kind of stuff. A little remedio, take a little remedy for that. And you take it, she takes it, again using the same thing, but she has an allergic reaction that messes up her kidney. And there you are again in court. She wants to be paid for the rest of her life. Again, she's afraid that if she hadn't listened, you would not put her to work. You are in charge of her paycheck after all, and she wanted to please you, and she was fearful of not. Where does this all go? Where then is your final responsibility here of what to do and not to do? It's easy morally to say I want to help. But that help has to come from what? Well, the moral side is a personal side. But when you are in a professional setting, you have certain responsibilities. How does this all work? Start from the first concept of a business. I want to make a company, but it's an idea. I'm going to need money, and I'm going to need what? Product or something, right, to sell. So the whole point is that eventually I get all my material. I have my office. Who's going to answer the phone? Oh, well, I am. I'm the only one here. I don't have a client yet. Oh, well, then who's going to visit the clients? Well, I am, but nobody's going to be in the office. Right, Gina? Gina is in a situation in Miami, and the camera over here. All right, right? She's there by herself, so if she has to go, she has to close the door, which means no employees come in. And then if she's in there, then nobody's at the client, so no walk-arounds or anything. And when she goes to lunch, you have to take a lunch. Then she doesn't want to take lunches. So then the whole point is what? You are limited to your certain responsibilities, but there comes a point where you say, I better hire someone. Okay, I need to be the client. Here's the key. You open the door. You turn on the lights. All right. Then when you leave, I have the other key. I'll close them. I'll turn off the lights. All right, and we'll repeat that tomorrow. But then we grow even more. Now this client wants 50 employees. I need someone over there permanently. So I have an on-site. Oh, I need to pay them. Oh, I need payroll. Oh, that's technology. I need technology. So we start departmentalizing. So all of you guys are here because originally it was an idea. But there was so many responsibilities attached that we had to divide them all. Where that responsibility is really immense. 40 clients, 50 clients. I'm not quite sure where the number is today. For this office, it's huge. And so one person is going to handle 40 clients? Impossible. So we repeat it, and then we get an assistant for you, and then we get somebody under you, a team of people to start working together. And then we have different locations, and on and on. It's the same idea, but the responsibilities just exploded, and consequently everybody has certain sets of responsibilities to get it done. And where does this get fit from is the profit for charging for the services that we're providing. Okay. Now, when problems come aboard, you guys have to stick to your responsibilities. You're an expert in your responsibilities, which is why you're a professional. So if I have a safety question, I go to OSHA, Mr. OSHA, right, Renee. If I go to Paloma with my OSHA question, how would a lawyer see that? Right?
Yeah.
What if I go to him with a receptionist question? He's going to be like, what the hell? Right. You get what I'm saying? Everybody is responsible. And when you guys are dealing with problems, you deal with them from your center, core responsibilities. Don't go outside of them. Now, here's another real life example. I come to you. I'm an applicant. I make my application, and you say, hey, I have a position for you, Mr. Mouse. Mr. Mouse. That's an interesting last name. What's your first name, Mickey? And I said, well, here, I need your I-9, and I show you my ID from Texas that has Mickey Mouse on it. Social Mickey Mouse. There it is. So, do you accept it or not accept it?
Yes.
What do you guys think? Would you accept it?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he has the proper paperwork. Why would I question his?
Does he have the right one? Huh? Yeah? What do you guys think? Would you accept Mickey and Mouse?
We even had Baby. Remember Baby?
Mm-hmm.
That guy's name is Baby. His name is Baby.
Jesse Roa. His first name is Baby, and when you call him, you have to say, "Can I speak to Baby?"
All right.
Hi, Baby. How's your day going?
Yeah, that's what it was.
No, really. It was awkward, but I did it.
Hi, Baby.
If you're right next to your husband,
Yeah.
Hey,
Baby's calling me.
This is Baby.
Yeah. Exactly.
If ICE, the Department of Homeland Security, comes in and audits that and says, are you crazy? Why would you accept that? How would you defend yourselves? How would you defend yourself? You accepted it.
Yeah. Proper documentation.
Who am I to say that his name's not Baby?
Well, who are you actually? Isn't that your responsibility to know this?
Yeah, and that's why I accepted it, because I seen that he had the proper document. That's why I took him in.
But Mickey and Mouse didn't give you a clue? He just bombed a courthouse in Memphis. That's why I'm here. He bombed a courthouse in Memphis. He's actually Fahid something from Yemen out in Asia. So, giving it a serious note, how would you defend your role in that? And giving him the money to buy the equipment for the bomb? It's just paperwork. Is that what we're going to tell the families? All the orphan kids now? See, you guys have to understand what is really your role in the technical aspect of it. Why did you accept it? It's the right paperwork. Who told you that was the right paperwork? Again, back to the courthouse. What expertise, what experience do you have? What education do you have in this? You can reverse the question. How would I not know that this is the right paperwork? How would I know? How would I not know? Kind of the same question. But when you ask it back to me, well, I would say, well, you get to yourself, the very first thing a lawyer would ask you is, what experience do you have in this? In what, you would say? Well, wouldn't you know that social and that ID are false? Right? Would you know that?
No.
Why not?
So I'm not immigration. No.
Who would know that, out of curiosity? Just by looking at it, who would know that?
Somebody who's certified in that.
There's certain classes actually that I took a while ago for that.
Right.
They're trained to tell if it's real or fake.
Correct. If you had that certification, would you be working here?
No.
Because the people that have that certification make a double, triple what somebody here would make. And who are they? Typically, they're customs.
Mm-hmm.
People that allow people to come into the country. You know, what do they ask you at the border? Give me your passport. Let me see your ID. Where are you from? You know, they look at it, right? Nowadays, they have it. If it's newer, they'll scan it. But typically, back in the day, what would they do? Look at it in the front, twist it, turn it. You go to airports, they still do that kind of nonsense, right? Is this it? No. They are trained in that.
Yep.
Okay, they are certified in that. Their word counts. If they say no, there's a reason they said no. They can say, hey, that doesn't have the hologram. It doesn't have something that's missing the requirement. They know. They know what to. Same with $100 bills, right? Merchants. You know, they
They know what to look for.
there's something there that tells them they're educated in that. Now, what certification do you have to in that field to say that ID was wrong? None. Is that a requirement of your job?
No.
No. What is a requirement of your job? To match what? The documents. Did you do your job?
First name,
Yes.
last name matches.
Who now? E-Verify. You guys, anybody know what E-Verify is?
Yes.
Okay, so I come to you, I say, here's my documentation, but I gotta tell you, I'm illegal. Would you put me to work? I just confess. It's my word, but I give you documents. And when you look at them, they all look good. Would you put me to work? I just told you I'm illegal. Nancy? Yes, okay. And why, is she right or is she wrong? She's right, Paloma? Okay, why?
She doesn't know if they're
But I just told her.
good or not.
But
But we're not trained for it, so we don't know. If
You haven't run the E-Verify
yeah, we have to
on
do
the
the
documents.
E-Verify to
Now,
find out either.
is a confession of illegality anywhere in our paperwork?
No.
Well, there is one place. Where is it?
On the I-9.
On the I-9. What does it say? Where do they sign? I am what?
Yeah.
I have my qualifications. If you signed that off and said, yeah, that's true, I don't really care what you tell me.
Yeah.
Why don't I care?
You telling me you're resident, citizen, or?
Now, E-Verify is an interesting process. How does that work? Renee, do you have any ideas of how E-Verify works? Lorena, E-Verify, how does that work?
I've actually never done it.
Never done it. Okay, how about you? Have you done E-Verify? Bro? Yeah. Well, he's an invoicing, not really. I know he's done it. That's why I'm not even pointing at him. How about you? You've done E-Verify? How about you, Paloma?
No.
No E-Verify. Okay. You? Reina, no?
Yeah.
And, I'm sorry,
Nothing.
you have?
Martina?
You're done doing?
You have done E-Verify. All right. What is the first requirement of E-Verify? For those of you,
Social and your-
when you log on, what is the very first one? And I'm talking, you say www, you know, E-Verify, blah, blah, blah. What does the very first thing you
The
have to
first
do?
name.
Open a new case.
When's the last time you guys done an E-Verify? And Renee, this is a very important point here. We do E-Verify on client requests only. Our industry is a little bit different, whereas a company is solely in-house employees that they have their policy for, right? We service many clients. Some of them require E-Verify, some of them don't. Okay, and so that's how we process whoever candidate we are thinking of sending to them. If they request it, we will E-Verify them. But anyway, the point is when you log on, which means you just do the, not the user or password, you just type in the URL to get to that website, you have to do something right away.
Test.
You have to accept. What are you accepting? I accept what?
Oh.
That you're telling the truth of the data entry?
I promise not to use this to discriminate. I promise not to use this to discriminate. Okay, what do they mean by that?
Whether he's illegal or legal. We're not supposed to.
Whether I deny him work or not. We're not even, you do not use E-Verify to determine legality.
You're not gonna
Do you
deny
guys know that to begin with? You don't use that to do what? To say you're illegal. And you don't use that to say you're legal. You don't use it. That's not how you use it. That's the very first page that comes at you. You can't go forward if you don't agree to say, okay, I understand this. I cannot use this, which is odd because everybody promotes E-Verify as a way to finding if you're legal or not.
Yeah.
But it's not.
So what's the point?
Exactly. Well, it's politics. It's something you can supposedly do. I tore something else again. Well,
So how do the companies then,
well,
how
let's
can
move.
they discriminate?
Let's move forward with the case. So I have a Mickey Mouse, right? Mickey Mouse has the paperwork, but they've actually admitted they're illegal, and yet they signed the I-9 saying that all their information is true and they qualify to work. We go by the I-9, all right, and the bottom line is when I E-Verify them, the very first thing they're going to ask me for, or on the very first page after my password and user and then open a new case, what will they ask me for? The name and what? Date of hire. Because there's a rule. I can only E-Verify someone I've already hired. I cannot verify someone I haven't hired. Now, hired means something what? Just hired me.
They started
They
the
started
touch
the
their
job.
cards.
So they punched in, they're hired. That's it, let's start. Wait a minute. So I'm putting, let's assume it's a total Mickey Mouse is illegal. And in order to find out if he's illegal, I first have to hire him? That sounds really weird.
Right?
Right, so then anyway, I put in his name and I put in it. Now, hire date means I have to do it within the first what?
3 days.
What happens if I do it in the fourth day? The system will reject
They
it.
ask you why you do it late.
Right. It will not proceed until you answer these questions.
Yeah.
All right. So the bottom line is, at the end of the day, you go through the E-Verify system to find out what? Whether the name and numbers match their systems. Now, does E-Verify exist? That's weird. It exists because I see it. It's a login and all that. It's a website. But E-Verify does not exist. E-Verify is a link, and it links into all the databases. So they themselves don't have one database. They are connected to all the databases. So if you say, my name is Jose Rodriguez, right, and my driver's license is from California, and my date of birth is this, and my social is this, part of that database shoots off to California DMV. Parts of it go to the Social Security Administration. The other part goes to the DOJ database, and all of it comes back and says, nope, sorry, Doesn't match. How about, it's Maria Rodriguez. Oh, but that's my maiden name. Everything is registered now under my married name. That doesn't match. Yeah, sorry. Now, at that point, if it doesn't match, do they tell you to fire the person?
No.
What do they tell you?
Send a letter.
Print this letter up and tell them what?
Go to fix it to the Social Security Administration.
You have how much time? That means they can get a few paychecks from us until they do what? Okay, so tomorrow, okay, so the month is up and they didn't fix it. Well, we gotta let them go. Oh, I forgot. You know, I brought you my cousin's ID. I got my ID. Here's my ID. And you have to fill out the I-9. Can you discriminate? Can you say, no, you cannot work here? Work in this country is sacred. You cannot deny employment based on something. The only person that can deny employment is the government. Officially, even they are very careful about not denying. They don't want any liability, which is why they go through all this ridiculous process in E-Verify. E-Verify is there just as a warning light. Call it a yellow. It's neither green nor red, and you only see a yellow after it's green, telling you maybe there's a red coming up soon. Yeah, you guys get that? That's a very, very important component.
When can you let them go then?
When the time frame that E-Verify tells you in that letter, they say you have a certain amount of time. Used to be 4 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks now. I don't know. It's just somewhere. I think it's so ridiculous I don't keep up with it anymore. But the point is that the idea, because I've never even seen a case of E-Verify in court. In any way, shape, or form. It's just
no.
There's too many loopholes in this thing. They clean their hands of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to say don't hire. Don't see. The government understands that revenue for them comes from the taxes, and the majority of the taxes come from payroll. Payroll taxes feeds the cops, feeds the CIA, feeds the military, feeds all that. That's really where it comes from. You have other corporate taxes that come from business taxes like gasoline, milk, and that kind of, well, not milk, but other items. So what you guys need to understand is that they hold jobs as a very sacred thing for them and for your families. And to deny someone work, that can go to court. So E-Verify is there because of a political kind of reason to show that the government is trying to do something, right? But even they will not deny anything because they are not the ones denying you. The ones that will at the end say, the Social Security Administration, after you do a payroll tax, after you do a payroll check, you get certain things deducted. Medicare and federal withholding and Social Security. The company deposits in a bank account they give you and say, put me all the payroll taxes that go here this week here. Okay, so we do. They then, with the numbers attached to the right people, but then they look and say, hey, this name and this number do not match. They send us a letter and say, hey, by the way, you send us money, but we don't know where to put it. So we're going to put this money in an account. They don't give it back to you. We're going to put it in this account until that person fixes that. Do they say, stop sending me money?
Of course not.
No. Do they say, fire them? No.
Of course not.
They don't say anything like that. That's crazy, huh? I had the Texas Unemployment, the head of the Texas Unemployment, a meeting with him, and he was saying, oh, this was under the Bush administration. He was telling me, this is crazy. All they have to do is give me a phone call, and I would print up for them all the money that I cannot deposit, along with where that money's coming from. They know where the illegals are at. That's all they have to do. What is all this crazy stuff? Because I get all this money out every week, right? I don't know where to put it at. This is the unemployment office. So I don't know where to put it at because these numbers don't exist with these names. So they're illegal. So, and of course I know who's sending it to me. So why don't they just come down here and tell me, hey, I'm Texas, give me a report of all the people you can deposit and who sent it to you, and make up your list of where to go visit and go pick them up. Because along with that goes the addresses and everything. So why are they wasting their time? I mean, with all this nonsense. Why? Yeah, this was back in the E-Verify when they were trying to do that. So this is the environment, this is the political world that we live in. So they actually came up with a program that they insist we use, but it has no teeth. It doesn't even exist. It's just a link. It just connects you to other databases. And it only tells you to follow up on it. All right. So let's go back. Everybody clear on this E-Verify thing? Just follow it as much as you can. You are not experts. Do not tell people not to kill themselves or to kill themselves. Don't do either one of those. Don't give people remedies or anything like that. Stick to the core responsibilities of what you are. Renee can definitely talk about safety. Paloma can definitely talk about the receptionist etiquette and recruiting and what have you. Go outside of that, you're putting yourself in deep trouble. Because at the end of the day, people can then say, I was afraid. They would not put me to work, so I did it. Even though they had no idea, they have no training, they have no expertise in this stuff. All right? We all think we do, because how many of you have many pharmacies in your bathroom? So it's like, I do. I open a thing, I go, what the hell? Just hate to see her kidney, really. Just bad. There's just too many pills. My whole point is that keep that there, and here, focus on your responsibilities you've been trained with, which is part of this training thing here. Okay, I got 30 more minutes to go here to make sure that I touch base on this thing. Okay, so just 2 weeks ago, was it? And then, okay, so we had a client, another case study, more Ivy League stuff here. We had a client who said, who the hell are these two employees? I got Richard, I got payroll, I got Francisco, I got, was it you, Nancy? I got all sorts of people involved in this one. Because the answer was, this was coming from a client asking me, who are these two people? Why should I pay them? Why should I authorize them? Who did they report to? Who's their manager? I don't know who they are, right? And then this place has a time clock. And they weren't on the regular time clock. They were manuals. So then these, well, let's stop right there. You guys all got that situation? A client is asking me, who are these two people? They're not asking me. Who are these two people? Okay, two employees. Okay, what possibly could have happened there? What do you guys think? Anybody? Why would the client not know who his employees are?
They were at a facility?
In one of our clients' facility. They did belong to us.
Because it was not in the roster of the time clock, it was a manual time.
Okay, so they were not inputted into the
time clock.
Into the time clock, right? So anybody, why is the client sending us this question? Remember the 1, 2, 3? Mm-hmm. He's talking about the 2 and the 3 now. Mm-hmm. Because obviously the 1 happened, they were working, and there was time for them, but he didn't know who they were. Anybody? What was the name of the company? NJB Woods, right? So NJB Wood, they have a system where you register them in. These people were not registered. Why would they not be registered at NJB Wood? How many more were registered? About 20?
No, about 12.
10. So we have 10 there. Why were 2 not registered? Any ideas why 2 would not be registered?
Because there was,
we failed to register.
There was an order days out, and those people normally do manually time card, but we failed and follow up with them to make sure they got clock-in number the next day and fix it the manual time card.
All right. You guys got that? That's interesting. So we had an order, the ASAP order, right? Which then made these employees kind of like, at the last minute they needed them quickly, and they were there, but because of that process, they weren't processed through the right normal channel, which is going to the clock and putting their information in. And so when they printed up that report, what happened? Their names were not on that report. But then later, because of the copy and paste came from an Excel spreadsheet. Mm-hmm. So somehow an Excel spreadsheet got passed to him, and he was saying, they're asking for you to load it. More food, I hope.
No, está diciendo que es Lorena.
Oh, I'm like,
oh, so sorry.
We don't have a check for her yet.
You need to go explain.
Very good, Papa.
What happened? No checks.
All right. So let's get back to, we're running shortly out of time here. The idea here is the client then had a question when they saw the Excel spreadsheet and said, I don't know who these people are. Who did they report to? So I can verify they were here, obviously. A simple question. He wasn't mean or anything. He was actually very nice about it, very professional, very cut and dry. And I was just saying, something that happens, I need to resolve this. Unfortunately, Martha got involved. All right? And so, when she looked at that, she asked herself, and then it started asking, why were these two employees not what? Registered. And the simple question was answered because we did not register them in the system. And then she assumed that's because our people, I guess she assumed that 10 people got registered automatically because she felt that the people that are in charge of that need education, right? Need to be trained in how to register people there. And so she had Richard schedule a training. All right, and then Richard was nice enough to respond, perhaps it's just because this was an ASAP order. And it was just one of those things that happens that we need to make sure that, that they get registered eventually. And then Martha said, well, that's not really what I asked you, right? She said, I actually want, if they knew how to do it, they should have done it. That was pretty much it was longer than that, but that's pretty much the conclusion. If they knew how to do it, they should have done it. And then since they didn't do it, they don't know how to do it. So just train them. Whoa. So one little thing got what? Totally, I'm talking about, I don't know, there was a chain of, I stopped reading after a little while. My whole point was, okay, we're not getting, this is what I really want to make sure that you guys get, okay? This is very, very important. Standard operating procedure. What is that? Write it down. SOP. What is SOP? Standard operating procedure. And then right below that put emergency procedure. I was already 3 steps ahead. Emergency procedures. You need to be experts in both. Standard operating procedures are fixed procedures. Fixed. That means like the walls. I better find a door because I'm not going through that wall. Right? You get it? Fix is you have to go open that door this way. You put on your socks before your shoes. You don't try to put on your socks after your shoes. They're kind of difficult. Yep. There's fixed procedures. And these are the 99.9% of the cases that you guys will encounter. People are registered. Client needs people. You search for these people, you find these people, you assign these people, you pay these people, you bill for these people. This is 99% of them. However, there is that word, ASAP. ASAP is referring to outside of the fixed procedures. Okay, I need these people right away. And so right away means you cannot follow the fixed procedures. You need to follow the emergency procedures you have. However, even those procedures were not followed here. How do we know that? Because the client still had no idea who these people were. What was missed in our emergency procedures? By the way, next to emergency put variables. And underneath that, in parentheses, put chaos theory. Chaos. C-H-A-O-S theory. Very similar to game theory. Chaos theory. All of this is related. Chaos theory is a mathematical principle, which is very simple. It says basically if a butterfly incances, flutters their wing a certain way, it might cause a tornado in China. If it turns the other way, that tornado might be in Yucatan. Okay, and if it doesn't fly at all, everything's peaceful in Hawaii. So how can a little butterfly fluttering its wings a certain way cause tornadoes, hurricanes, or paradise? That's chaos theory. That's mathematical principles. Now, variables are like that. You don't know what's coming up. You don't know when all of a sudden somebody doesn't show up. Someone calls you and says there's nobody there. So the client says, I need 2 people with these skills like yesterday. I need them now. All right. And you happen to have them, but you haven't registered them yet. This is what happens with job orders that are unfilled. You're doing emergency procedures. Now, the reason we know they're unfilled is because you did not, the key phrase, do not forget this. The key phrase, if you do emergency procedures, you need to do follow-up procedures to make these people fixed again. Follow-up. This is the key phrase. If you do not follow up, you will be told, where is this employee? I can't find them. There is no employee. I have this time card, blah, 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 blah. There's all sorts. Now, typically this comes from payroll, am I right? In this case, it came from who? Client. Happened to CC Martha. Right? And so then she got involved and then treated the people involved in this thing like, why didn't you just follow normal fixed procedures? And when the response came, well, this is an ASAP procedure, says, well, why is the client even asking then? Yeah, you're right. I mean, you are right. You handled it through emergency procedures, but you didn't follow up to make sure this question isn't asked. So what could you have done in that situation with MJB out of curiosity? What's the follow-up procedure to an SAP procedure to make those emergencies fixed, to put them in that system, so that the client wouldn't have that question? What do you think?
Go back and entering manually to the time clock.
There's
we're using just the time sheet just to, in case that those 2 employees have a question, but we have the time card signed by the supervisor, but it's already registered. Pretty much is follow up.
It's a follow up, and those follow ups change because of the procedures you might use. Remember that one that you guys laughed about? Hey, I need 10 people, and I call the first one. She said, my Jada's here, my Tia's here. He said, great. What's her name? Send her to. Oh, that's okay. I mean, because you're using emergency procedures. I get it. But where's the follow up to that?
Yeah.
Okay. And in that case, just so you know, in that case, the follow up was at the paycheck level. Just give me her name. I'll make a check for her, but she can't get it until she fills out all my applications. So here's a carrot, there's the paperwork, you need to put all that together. All right, thank you very much for having worked. Boom. Right. Now, obviously these positions, all they did was take things out of a box, put them in another box. This was the kind of general labor that was required back in the day. But as you can see, there's a lot of quicksand there. Right? What if this, again, worst case scenario, what if they were terrorists? It seems laughable, but hey, we had, 10 of them, 12 of them? In Texas, actually, for over a year working here, and that's how they ended up flying and training and doing all that, and then flying into buildings and all sorts of stuff. Pentagon, so it seems almost ridiculous to us, but it happened. And so this is the kind of stuff that we need to make sure that we're on. So again, fix is standard operating procedures. If you mess up there, then you basically need to be retrained in the whole thing, because that is what we normally do. Emergencies come once in a while. Once in a while. We can't predict emergencies, obviously, right? If that table was to suddenly fall, right, you would say, wow, what happened? Right? Something has to be done, some follow-up to make sure that doesn't happen again. But because we know, we even have a name for it at MJB, ASAP, right? I mean, that means that happens quite often. So when it happens that often, eventually the emergency becomes fixed. Oh, that happened again. Okay, then do this, and do this. You start prepping for that emergency. But typically you don't prep for emergencies. Think of Houston and the flooding. Right? Never thought you'd get flooded over there, right? But what happened when you looked outside? Right? So you have to prep. Right now I'm thinking of change for the car. One of the reasons I got a 4x4 was I remember we used to have that blue Blazer. And it was that saved my life a couple of times, you know, being able to move around at least, because there was a time around here there was so much ice, you couldn't even go to the you couldn't even park. It parked for you. It just slid, yeah, it just into you. Just hope you were gonna hit some, you know, what was gonna stop you wasn't another car or something. But anyway, bottom line is, I said, oh, I better get chains, you know, because this temperature stuff is really weird right now. Sometimes it does, like just 2 days ago it was freezing. And then I was almost, you know, sweating a little bit. Yesterday it was like nice. It reminded me of California, 75. Yeah. Wish I had a convertible yesterday. That was nice. But then today, who knows? Maybe it's freezing outside right now. I don't know.
10 minutes, start snowing.
So I'm thinking I better get some chains for the car so I'd be ready. People would think I'm crazy, but not me. I would have never predicted snow in the Super Bowl. Remember the Super Bowl was here? And that week it snowed. All the festivities got canceled or were put in inside tents and stuff. It was just crazy. I was like, wow, this is nuts. We're in the middle of the country. If you take a map of the United States and fold it in half, and then take that half and fold it again in half, that little point, guess what that point is? Dallas. Dallas is here for a reason. Why? It's the center of the country. So a lot of distribution centers are here. Amazon has one of their bigger distribution centers here. Why? It's easier to fill the product. If it's in California, then the New York orders, they have a lot to travel. But if they do it from Dallas, just halfway to travel anywhere in the country. So from here to LA, it's 24 hours. And you know, if you stop for gas, maybe 25.
30.
From here to El Paso, how many hours?
7, 8.
From here to El Paso?
7, 8.
8.
12.
How fast you drive.
Google it. Google it. 12.
No.
No.
9.
No, it's 8.
Yeah,
7,
one time
8.
we went, my dad was driving and we got there in 12 hours. I know there.
Huh? Google it. Google it.
I'm a Google Maps this right.
Yeah. So, if I'm right, half of the trip is where? Texas.
Texas is huge.
Because 20 minutes after Texas, El Paso, you're in New Mexico. But you're at the tip of New Mexico. Half an hour later, you're in Arizona. It's just, I've driven it a few times. I know exactly that link. And so my whole point here, oh look, you don't believe me. All right. She doesn't believe me. But my whole point at the end of the day is that Texas, Dallas is here for a reason. And therefore, you guys have job security if you stay in this industry. Because most of this distribution happens through general labor. All right? And so we have a lot of growth opportunity here. But again, and then I'll conclude with this, you guys need to make sure, just to wrap up the fixed and the variable.
From here to El Paso is 8 hours, 43 minutes.
You're kidding.
Oh.
Yeah, it's 8 hours. My
Make it
ex-wife
7.
lives there, so
Make it 7.
she drives all the way.
Hey,
all the time.
no personal stuff. He's kind of a little angry, huh?
8:43.
Oh boy. All right. Anyway, I was wrong. The idea at the end of the fixed and the variable. There was a couple of ideas there. Make sure in your training in your profile of every client, ask that 2 questions. How do we normally process everything? Are we ready to process an emergency? Okay. And then go to the worst case scenario. We don't have a computer system. We don't have a printer. We don't have internet. We don't even have an office. Would I still be able to put people to work?
Yes.
All right. Now at that point, how would I report it? I'm in Miami. I can't get to you. Can't get to payroll like that. So how am I going to do it? This is emergencies. These are the variables. These are variables. Right? That little raindrops. Oh, how cute it's raining now. All of a sudden turned to Maria over there in Miami. Flooded it out for like 2 weeks. Not really with water, but the wind knocked down almost every telephone pole in the region. No internet, no nothing. So pretty much, how did we? Luckily, we hadn't started it, right?
Yeah. Well,
yeah. We started that week.
It was that week, and then you wanted to do training, and then you asked, why don't we have internet there? It's because we just had a hurricane.
I had to ask. Maybe it was something else. But look, what I'm saying is, in your repertoire, in your toolbox, your mental toolbox, have those two things, fixed and variable. Always look at it. Hey, what happens, ask the client, what happens in an emergency if you can't, if you're not here, if you get sick, who's gonna sign for this, who's gonna authorize? If the person that sends in the payroll, how do I come in and pick that up? You need to commit with your employees, fixed and variable. They need you by 8, but if you can't make it, how are you gonna do it? Give me a plan, let me see, it's part of your interview process? Are you a sharp thinker? Well, I just won't go in. Well, okay, that's a good one. That's easy. All right, or hey, do you know if you go to RSI, you got 3 toll roads? Okay, if you take that route, are you willing to spend half of your check on that? Right, so from 725, which usually is about 6 something by the time you're done with taxes, you're gonna pay another $2 in toll road. Well, now you're down to $4 an hour. So, all of this has to come into play in terms of fixed and variables. And the variables are like that chaos theory. It could be absolutely anything. And you guys as professionals have to be ready for anything. So, assuming that she does not have a job order, but we have an employee in front of her on Friday, where's my check? Or I'm going to DOL. DOL, here's the Texas Unemployment Office. They also handle that. And they will call you quickly. Trust me, I know. So the idea is what? How does she handle that? Does she give them a check? But then there is no invoice because we don't have any information. She has no time card. How does she do it? She has to be prepared to answer that for every employee from every company, because she handles every employee from every company. If you only handle Universal out there, well, how am I going to deliver checks or assign people if that supervisor is not there? What if you're not there? Who's going to do it for you? So you need your backup plan. Okay, and that backup plan, again, one more time, the focus is on the follow-up. Because resolving issues is easy, actually. Just putting people to work is easy. Yeah, send her, you know. Do you have a neighbor? Yeah, send her too. That's easy. But the follow-up, that's not so easy. That's what you have to think about. How would I have to do this? What else do I have to do? How do I get ready for that? And when you're ready for that, you'll almost be bored. You can then focus on excellence. You can focus on how good the service is, not the service. You know what I'm saying? Because just putting people to work, that's easy. But sending people that are the right people, that's not so easy. Because there are a lot of people who say, yeah, sure. Career path. When you talk to someone, what do you know about me? If I'm here to apply for a job as a temp, what do you know about me right there? I'm here, please send me general labor. Profile me. I made my application, you're interviewing me. What do you know about me? You haven't asked me much, other than my name. But what do you already know about me?
You're looking for a job.
True. Well, you can say that. So let's profile me, because that profile will then give you a clue as to even yourselves. So it's like this. I'm going to try to make a ladder.
That doesn't look like a ladder.
Yeah, well, steps. Staircase, that's the first one. And I'm going to put 725 over here. Which is what, the federal minimum?
Yeah.
And over here, I'm going to put $45 an hour. Does anybody have a calculator? Multiply it times this. Both numbers. This is going to be about 15. And that'll be a little substantial. 2080. This is how, if you work a full-time week, and you work it for a whole year, 52 weeks, this is how many hours you would have worked.
15,080.
Yeah, that's what this one is. 15,000. Let's just put 15K. And this is us.
93,600.
Yeah, 93K. And That's it. All right. What am I talking about? Career path. That means who we are and where you want to get to. Make sure that you understand that we're just a step in the life of a career. And as every student knows, you start in the first grade. Well, actually, you start in kinder if your parents want you to start in kinder. But typically, you start in the first grade. All right. You go to university, you're a freshman. You know, you go to high school, you're a freshman again. You're in the 9th grade, and on and on and on and on. And there's a process. So this is a process of a career. Now, over here, if this is us, right? This is Darby Day, us. Who's this? This is the Fortune 500, and if you're lucky, the 100. So the Fortune 500. What separates them? Other than the money, of course. What separates them? What is on one side 15,000, which is, by the way, the poverty line in the United States, with this type of money, which, by the way, isn't the full because of the federal taxes and all that. By the time you're done, you're about 13,000. So they're saying you only need 1,000 per month or so to do everything. It's a little about 250. Yeah, you have rice and beans, I guess. But the whole point is over here, you're almost at 100,000. And you're doing the same job. What the hell is the difference? Well, and this is really skills. And what you guys just said, experience. Good. What are skills and experience? What is skills?
Things you know how to do.
1, 2, 3, 4, right? You know how to turn this way, you know how to turn that way. What is experience? How do you get experience? How do you pick up skills?
From the bottom.
Yeah, experience you can measure through time and knowledge. Am I right? Knowledge you can get through. Boy, my writing's bad. I'm trying to do it fast. How do you get knowledge?
Go up a little bit.
Education and hands-on. Hands-on. That means you do it. Try it. You got to break a few of them, right, before you get it.
Oh.
Yeah, it fell. All right, that's fine. So, yeah, that proves to you how experienced I am at this stuff. I put it together myself. I'm so proud. Anyway, so when you're here, how much of this do you have?
Not much.
I mean, seriously? And if you tried it, you broke more than you fixed, right? Because if you're really good, would a company lose you? You guys understand? If you're really good at it, would a company let you go?
No.
Oh, hell no. Right? They say, why? Because we have to train, they already know what to do. This is simple. I mean, it just happens. The profits just keep coming in with this person. But if it's new, I have to retrain, then they broke, and on and on. Nah, it's better, this is too, basically they say this is a loss. So I might as well cut my loss and hope to find someone better. And so what we're offering is what? The starting point. So how are you going to sell this to that? How are you going to say, hey, you need to at least know there's that in your conversation, all right? You need to ask them, what is your goal to make that kind of money through doing this? Because when you go, I have a friend who just got let go, and let me see if I can do something here. How about that? All right. So, his name's Jesse, real nice guy. The thing is, Jesse got let go of his previous job, and he was working at Pep Boys, and now he's the assistant at. He's the assistant for one of the llanterias over here. He helps them unscrew the tires when they change them. All right, but he's not interested, and they pay him almost nothing. They mostly tips and that kind of stuff. So he went from making a very nice salary to almost, living on the street, the poor guy. The idea is this, is that he's there not to do tires. He's there to see how the business runs. He's saying, how much do they charge? Where do they get their tires from? Where, What is it that they tell people when they come in? What machinery are they using? What hours do they open? Right? What system are they using? What's he doing for those tips? They're paying him to learn. That's how he sees it. What are we paying them to learn? $7.25 an hour. And with more knowledge, right, that education piece, where can they eventually go? As much as they want to learn. See, we focus on the hard work, right? Because that is hard work when you're doing the vagones and all that kind of stuff, unloading the sugar over at a Wagner and what have you. But really, right, I'm old. So do you expect me to know enough already at my age? You should expect that I know more than someone younger than me. Right? Simple as that. If I'm curious enough. Minus the okay, this is going to sound weird to you guys, but you guys need to have this too. I recommend it. This is a recommendation, but I seriously recommend it. So you need to be ambitious. What is ambition? Ambition.
Like you wanna try to get the best out of like
You can substitute ambition with the word more.
want.
Right? More. I want more, more, more. Okay? That's ambition. But you also need to have what? To get more, what do you need? Some think, well, you just need more credit cards. Bless you. What do you guys think? Well, the next thing you need to be is greedy. What does greedy mean? Reina.
Greedy is wanting to keep everything for yourself.
Ah, you are prioritizing. Forget the keep for yourself. Say this, prioritize myself.
You're a little selfish.
Prioritizing yourself. When you are in an airplane, how many of you have been in an airplane? All of you, hopefully? It's kind of fun sometimes. Depends. But the point is, there's that little speech the stewardess gives you, right? And then they get to the mask. What do they say about the mask?
Yourself first.
Why? That's being greedy. That's being selfish.
Help anybody else if you can't help yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How can you help somebody else if you can't even help yourself? And you can't help yourself because everybody asks you for stuff.
Yeah.
Unless you happen to be in the business of Mother Teresa, right? Then if you guys are here, you're here for a reason. You're not satisfied. I'll tell you what I know about you. You're not satisfied being unemployed. It doesn't give you what you want. Consequently, you're willing to trade part of your life to get more, right? And you don't want to, you're not working for your neighbor. You're working for the most important things in your life. And if you have kids, they are the most important things in your life. Now, what happens when you associate yourself with someone that doesn't work for you? And you have to work for them. Then they just cut you in half. So you used to make $10 an hour, guess what? Now you make $5 an hour. And so there's a point where you have to prioritize yourself. That's very simple as the word greedy. You have to be greedy. Because greedy adds the word energy to it. Right? Prioritizing yourself doesn't do really much for you other than understanding. But greedy gives it energy. See, there is fuel behind greedy. Oh no, no, not today. I'll help you next week when I have more. Because even if $100 does feed you right now, right? Maybe $200 and a new job will help you even more, depending. Depends. But my whole point is very simple. So you need to be ambitious, you need to be greedy, and there's one other thing. You need to be curious. Curious. Why curious? ¿Por qué curiosidad?
Because you have to be willing, or you have to be kind of, not willing, but...
Curious. Why? Help her.
You have to be curious.
To learn more.
Question, to want.
Grow.
Yeah.
Grow. By the way, as you can see, we grow naturally. We do. We live and things happen. Things will grow. You will automatically all be better off than before. That will happen. Unless you are suicidal, I guess. That was the other thing. But normally speaking, you will be better than before, but you can push that faster by being curious and using your imagination and saying, what is my friend Jesse doing at the llantera, at the tire shop? Is he earning his tip? He's getting enough for his hamburger.
To grow.
And the questions he's asking, how does this business work? What machinery is happening here? What's he thinking? Where's he projecting himself in the future?
Business.
He doesn't want to be a worker. What does he want to do? He wants to own his own shop. And he knows nothing about it. He knows some mechanics, he knows how to do engines, that kind of stuff, but he didn't know the business side of the tire shop. So he went and volunteered to change things to be in that environment. Sound familiar?
Yep.
So this is an opportunity for you to pick up skills, to pick up experience, and hit the Fortune 500s sooner than later. If you are what? Ambitious, greedy, and curious. Stay satisfied with what you have, and pretty much you will grow, but mostly in the waist. You guys got that? It's very important you understand that. Because you will be attacked from all over the place for being greedy, for being ambitious. We use these words as a negative, don't we?
Yeah, pretty much.
The only one that we kind of like, curious, and we associate that with good stuff. But they're all good when you are referring to your own life.
I call Richard my teacher because he's
Curious.
But I know it's curious now.
From now on, you know.
You're just curious.
I actually recommended he do something. I won't say it here, but I recommended he do something like Jesse with you. I said no. Okay, there's growth opportunities here everywhere. Look, I have a position. I meddle in all sorts of things. I have that curiosity in me, but I'm also ambitious, and yet my ambition is benign. I'm not going to step on anyone to get ahead. That's just not who I am. I'm not going to do that. So I look for opportunities that don't do that. Okay? Get what I'm saying? I will not use people. I won't even ask for stuff. That's just not me. If I deserve it, then I'll get it. If I don't deserve it, then I'm happy with that. I better get going. All right? That's really the key component that's in me. So my greediness really comes in, I don't even participate. You guys don't even see me like that. But I'm there. How do I know about all these little issues that are happening? Because I am there. There is an awareness of what's going on. And there is interjection on my part in the back end. So a lot of things happen because I'm there, but I don't like to, there's no exclamation point, oh, it's Jose, oh, it's me. It has nothing to do with that. So what I need you guys to do is write my number down, 682-252-9089. You are welcome to satisfy your curiosity with me as much as you want to. You can text me. You can call me. All right. If you have any issues whatsoever, any questions, call me. Jose Perez.
What was it?
Jose Perez, 682-252-9089. My email is jperez@Darby Day.
Okay, people.
I'm Martha's big brother. And she likes to say she's my little sister. But she's actually my older sister. I respect her. Of course.
Of course.
I have to. I have to kiss that ring. That's who my mom grew me up to be. All right. Any questions about any of this? No? Thank you so much for being here and sharing your Saturday morning with us. Again, anything, please. I'm more than happy to share whatever I have with you guys. There's I'll give you guys 3 books. Richard, do you mind showing them these 3 books? Put them on your reading list if you're literary.
I've seen those.
Yeah. These I gave them to one of the sales
I've
person.
seen those. I actually wanted to take them.
Oh, yeah. So these came from me. Okay.
Really?
So one is called Turning Pro. Turning Pro. Do the work.
There's sequels to that one.
And the war. This one is incredible.
Yeah.
So they basically say this. Don't think about it, do it.
Yeah.
Okay, don't think about it. Do it. And the biggest obstacle in your life is in your mirror. It's your brain process. You yourself are the ones that think of every challenge that you have in your life as a bull, and you're a bullfighter. So I don't feel like going in. That's your procrastination bull in front of you. Will he kill you or you handle him? Right? And you need to know these 3 books right here have changed my life to a certain degree, of course. But they are wonderful, wonderful books. By the way, the guy is not a writer, believe it or not. When he writes, he only writes like if he's texting. He writes like 1 page and then he moves on to another chapter.
I flipped through it. Yeah, it's not like
That
a
kind of
long
stuff.
chapter book like that.
No.
Yeah.
So these are wonderful books. They're by Stephen Pressfield. Okay, I got them on every.
I was wondering
version.
why she left them there because I came across them and I started reading a little bit of it and I was like, why did she leave these here?
Well, I trained
because
her.
You left them.
I should confess, I did train her, and I was reading them at the time. I carried them with me, and in one of the breaks, I'm in an attic, and she saw me and she picked it up. She said, "Oh, this is great." So I said, "Oh, here." Again, I am greedy, but I'm not selfish like that. I will share information. And I have these in all the other formats. I have them on my Kindle, I have them on the web, I have them all over because I read them. I keep about 100 books with me all the time. Yeah. But those books are, for me now, most of those books have been read. I've read them already. I just refer to them back in now and then. But I'm always looking for the greatest Stephen King. Have you guys seen that movie?
The old one.
Yeah, the new one I hear is great. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful one.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing time with us.
Thank you for all the info.
Saying goodbye to the Houston and Miami people.